Well, build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance.
Hello everybody, welcome to Longbangers Week at Hibs. I'm Matty.
Hello, I'm Colin.
And I'm John.
And this is a new, we sort of trialled it last week with our extra time, which we recorded late in the week. A new additional episode for our subscribers, which will go out to non-subscribers, but on a delay. So you get a week of exclusivity as a...
Last week at Hibs.
Aye. So yeah, it'll be last week at Hibs by the time it goes to everybody else. So you get it, well, it's current and topical and relevant, much like ourselves. John, how's it going? Well, Colin, you're coming in here before. Wait, hold fire, John.
Is this also in partnership with Leaf Spirits, this show?
Yes, it is also. Right. I was just
making sure. I wasn't sure if this was part of the deal or if this was...
We said everything Longbangers was going to be with Leaf Spirits, right. And I suppose while we're on that, we should say congratulations to Tia Tracy, who won the 2 tickets for the Aberdeen game on Sunday. So well done that. Look out for competitions for more tickets. I think the next home game after Sunday is the Derby on the 27th, I want to say.
7th.
Got a few away games coming up.
We were looking at it. So, and you came with Derby tickets are like hen's teeth, aren't they? So if you've not already got yourself sorted for you'll know if they go on sale tomorrow. But if you can't get yourself sorted for a Derby ticket and you want a chance of getting 2 of them, look out for our Twitter and there will be a chance to win up there.
There'll be no winners if they're like hen's teeth because we'll be punting them to the bottom.
It is the
next home game.
It is it?
Yeah.
All right, John, how are you doing? I'll revert back to my original question.
I'm doing all right. Still struggling with that wee bit lurgy that I described in a recent episode, but that's why I've got some 10-year-old Jura here to try and help kill it off once and for all. But other than that, I'm pretty good.
Do you ever heat up?
What's that, sorry?
A wee toddy with your whiskey, no?
Before you joined, we were talking about that, and I was talking Matty through like the honey. I think there's a bit of sugar in there. There's maybe some cloves, and you heat it up and blah blah blah. I was like, it's just a bit of a faff. Like, can we not just make it simpler and get to the whiskey?
Okay, what I do make it simple. Jack Daniel's honey flavour, bit of boiling water and some sugar or honey. That's it. The Jack Daniel's honey's got the honey in it already, yeah. So
yeah,
that's it. Make it as simple as that.
So do you think then that there's maybe? Do you think there's maybe a market out there for distillers to make like pre-made hot toddies? All you need to do is like pop it in the microwave for like 30 seconds and that's you.
Add boiling water to it. That's it.
No.
If we could make them, dehydrate them to like a powder, kind of like Bovril or like instant coffee, and we could sell them as.
If only we were in partnerships.
I know with a spirits company.
Aye. I'll get onto them.
The idea, Greg. I'm trademarking it though, mate. I'm on the fucking.
We won't cut in if it takes off, right? Colin, how are you doing?
I'm all right. It's a bit manic tonight. Sorry, I'm late. Not everybody knows. You guys know I'm late, so it's you as I'm apologising. Nobody that's listening. Aye,
that's all right. Right, we'll get stuck right into a busy week. So in the aftermath of our 2-1 win at Dundee, there was a curious interview with Will Fish. So I say curious, right? Wasn't that curious? Right? They did the post-match interviews. I probably have exaggerated it a wee bit there.
Really weird. Aye.
But spooky. There was a comment that he made on it about Jair. Right? So obviously everybody's talking about Jair after the last few games, and he got another goal on Saturday. Will Fish, in his post-match interview, said that he hadn't seen him playing before, which is fucking mental. He said he hadn't been in the dressing room.
Yeah.
John, when you saw that comic, so I kind of shared that article with you earlier on today. What were your initial thoughts on that?
My first thoughts were that can't be right, and then I was thinking back to Almond Vale, Tony Mack, whatever way you want to describe it, when Jair had one of his first appearances for Hibs and tried to determine in my head whether Will Fish played in that game. And I think someone, hopefully one of you two or both of you will correct me if I'm wrong, but was that the game where Paul Hanlon came back for injury a little bit too soon? Newbley kind of like bundled him over and scored early doors, and Jair maybe got out at half time.
Yeah.
And I don't think Will Fish was in the squad at that point. I don't think he was around. So it kind of makes sense because I think maybe Tavares had like a few fleeting appearances after that, but that would obviously have predated when Will Fish came in. He had his own, and it's interesting actually because of the person making those comments, because Will Fish, if you remember the derby, when he had his difficulty when he was kind of culpable for a goal at Tynecastle, he wasn't treated the same way as Tavares was in terms of like being frozen out or whatever. So I think it probably adds weight to the idea that Tavares was just completely. It was almost, what was it they used to say, like with regards to like the Russians and what have you, like sending him off to Siberia. Like he was that far out of the picture at Hibs that he wasn't really known around the dressing room. Like he wasn't training. He was nowhere near the squad whatsoever. And I find that really troubling, to be perfectly honest. But obviously, I mean, I say troubling. We've obviously moved on since then, like with regards to managers, coaching staff, etc. And Montgomery's come in, giving everyone a clean slate. But I think that probably it's one of those things that maybe adds weight to the idea that if things are only working with a manager, you should change them, which is like kind of. I always argue on the podcast that you should give managers time.
Yeah, well, I think we all have had that argument before. Colin, what was your take on it all?
Well, I thought I wasn't as surprised, I don't think, because we'd heard last year that the development team where Jair was training were training in the afternoons, and they weren't allowed. The training centre was, this is the first team only, and he was not in the first team, so he was there. So he would be coming in the afternoon with the laddies and the development team, whatever age group that is, and the first team would be leaving. So I guess some of them would know him, but if Fish maybe arrived after he got bombed out and maybe doesn't make it his business to know anybody in the development team, which is maybe a surprise. Like I would have thought you would kind of know who's in the development team as well. Like, but if they're not even in the building at the same time as you, then I guess you wouldn't,
Aye.
Because I don't know why Johnson done that. And you traditionally have a first team dressing room and the other dressing room. If both teams are there, the development team will be in their own one, and it'll be like, come in here now, and then they'll start sort of workplace bullying the boy when they come in, and that's how you initiate you in. But if you're not even there at the same time of the day, then that can't happen.
Aye.
I think that's maybe why we're seeing more. Aye, but we're seeing a team spirit. But that builds team spirit and all that. Call it bullying. Like that's just but it's just banter, eh? Like depends how far it goes, obviously. But in dressing rooms, there is a bit of that, and that's how you build team spirit. And there's been comments recently about how the team spirit looks better and the team look more together and blah blah blah. That's because they'll be having a laugh and taking the piss at each other in the building at the same time.
Yeah.
Rather than just the 18 of them or whatever it was in the first team squad.
I thought it was a really startling comment to make. And actually, Colin, I hadn't thought about it for the point of view of like the players' responsibility to kind of go and know the other players that are in there. And you're right, though. But if you're told you're in the morning and we need you out because we've got another bunch of guys coming in the afternoon, then
see who the competition is. Like I think it's strange. I think it's strange to not know like who's in the other team, like who's in the reserves, sort of thing. I think it's a strange thing for a player not to give a fuck. I don't know. A different mentality. I'm always looking over my shoulder. These boys are like, I'm a fucking Man United player.
Well, if he's not even in the dressing room, he's probably not worried about what's coming through. I thought it reflected badly on the last manager. I've been sort of following some conversation about it on Hibs.net and on Twitter, and some people making the point, and I think it's justified, that that'll go on at football clubs up and down the country where a player's out of favour and you've only got like a X amount of players needed to do your training drills if you want to have them effective. You can't have everybody in the squad involved in every session. So it would be normal for a player to be kind of just like excluded, if you like. But I think from a man management perspective, it's really negligent. I'm using that word deliberately, Lee Johnson, to take a player in from like a young player to another country to bring them over and not give them any support at all, which is what's looked like has happened here, and to not even be integrating them, because it's one of the things that we talk about it as punters, about players need time to settle. They've come in and they need to get up to speed with the game, they need to integrate with the squad. Johnson's had a look at him for a couple of weeks and just went, nah. And then made, by the look at it, and it is on the face of it, right, he's made the attempt to remedy that situation. He's no, what we'll do is we'll take you out there now, give you a couple of weeks, and then we'll start integrating you back in. It's just been wash your hands of him, gets to the next summer, and Johnson was punting him to try and get him out the club altogether. And you just think that's, you look at the other players that have gone out, like Melkerson is away. Now I know Melkerson went on loan, I think, after Montgomery came in. I think, I'm not sure, right? Maybe we should have checked that first. But you've got Henderson went out. Kenna is the other one. Kenna, there was the kind of the screenshots of WhatsApp. If you remember, the Johnson's obviously gone, right, you're not having you either, and just punted them right out of the club. But these are players that the club's invested money in to try and obviously improve the squad over a number of years. And you've got a manager who's just no made any effort to work with them at all. Really, I think it reflects very, very badly on Johnson. And when you see that, some of the other rumours that you hear about him start to maybe seem a wee bit more credible.
Yeah.
The next thing, and this is, it'll be interesting to get your thoughts on this. Nick Montgomery pushing Josh Campbell for a Scotland place.
I'd missed it completely when you mentioned that as a possible talking point for tonight. But then and afterwards I've gone and had a read at the article, and I like what Montgomery's saying. But you also look at it like realistically, and you look at the players that are ahead of Josh Campbell. I think it's so from that kind of leadership point of view that you're describing, it's like really talking Josh Campbell up, saying, like, I think you've got the potential, and he mentioned, like, obviously as Josh Campbell being a Scottish player, like, and I think he was talking about it from like sort of any nationality. You should be aiming to play for your national team. And I think, like, I was going to ask you guys what you thought about what the likelihood was you thought of Josh Campbell making the side, of making the Scotland team, like of getting in, or even just getting in the squad with the players that are ahead of him, that are established in the national team just now.
Wait a minute, we're talking like a time horizon here, or is he talking like soon? Because what is he, 23, 24, You're old.
Yeah.
Look at the players that are ahead of him and what age category they're. Take what we're talking him as a midfielder. It's got to be.
We need to
that's the strongest part of the Scotland team.
Mm-hmm.
Like English Premier League, top English Premier League players, and then that's backed up by Callum McGregor and whoever the boy at Rangers, Ryan Jack and all that. So, like, where are we talking about him getting in? And I don't like to talk a Hibs player down, but let's look at the calibre of player ahead of him.
Yeah.
And there's Celtic Rangers players that are getting in that squad. David Turnbull and things like that.
So this was the challenge. This was the challenge that I had when I was thinking about it, because you think of the players that are ahead of Josh Campbell, and you saying to yourself, well, you're not good enough to get in the Scotland squad. And that, I don't think that's where Josh Campbell is. He's probably, because I think to say that he's not good enough to get into the Scotland squad, well, you say, well, he's just not good enough. But that's not the case. Like I think he's a good player for Hibs, but he does have that Premiership calibre of player ahead of him, and he also has the league-winning midfielders ahead of him as well.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a big ask. I like the idea, like you say, John. I like the idea of sort of giving somebody a goal, like a tangible, to say, right, if you work hard, this is what you should be aiming for. And I think if you're Josh Campbell, you would be looking at Porteous, you'd be looking at Kevin Nisbet as examples of players that have gone from Hibs into the international squad. I agree with you, Colin.
His first target's got to be the best player at Hibs then, because that's what they were. And then when you become the best player at Hibs, then you might get a look in. But actually, still the competition is McGinn, McTominay, McGregor. You know what I mean? It's like it's the top. To use the football terminology, top players.
See, I thought it was interesting. Like, we've talked about Josh Campbell's age before, with regards to, like, I think, Colin, you said, like, if you're not sort of like kicking on the first team's door by the time, like, you're 18, then you're probably not going to make it. And, like, we've used that in reference to Josh Campbell, but I was having a think about this with regards to Josh Campbell's age before, and like other players that have made it to play for Scotland at international level and have been regulars in the first team. So like Paul Hartley, for example, like he wasn't a Scotland international until much later in his career. And with regards to those like Premiership players that we're talking about, like, I mean, we think about probably John McGinn still being a young guy, but he's been at Aston Villa for like 5 years now. So he's not old, but he's kind of getting towards the sort of the peak of his career and probably the later years. Like, there's still time for Josh Campbell to get in there.
But at his age,
and improve.
He was Josh Campbell's age now, like when he was the best player at Hibs.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. It's like Campbell's first target should be a first team player at Hibs, because when everybody's fit, he's not even in the team.
I think he's got a way to go, like a long way to go. I mean, I agree with you, Colin. When you look at the players that are in the Scotland squad that are ahead, but I suppose at the same time, though, what's the point in playing if you're not going to give yourself those sorts of targets?
Absolutely. I think it's the wrong target. I think it's that's a proper stretch. Like, let's go achievable steps here.
So I was reading earlier, as part of the research at this talking point, that I think one of the reasons that Campbell found himself out of the first team squad recently, not starting recently, was because he was having a bit of difficulty adjusting from playing in a midfield 3 to playing in a midfield 2, or filling the role that he's done. And I think that's got to be something that puts him in a good position, is that he's adaptable, that he can take on new ideas, that he can learn different positions. I was just going to say, I think there's always room for a utility man, but that's not to talk him down. I think that's going to be where, like Steve Clark, for instance, like I don't think many folk would have imagined that he was going to get performances out of some of the team or bring in some of the players that he's had. So it might be that Josh Campbell fills a role that Steve Clark thinks needs filling. And I'm talking about that very, very optimistically there. Because there's some of the challenges that we've talked about already. Sorry, Colin.
No, it's all right. The boys on the terrace were talking about him at the weekend, and they said that give Josh Campbell 3 games and he'll work it out, whatever position you're asking him to play, something like that, they said. And I thought that's probably a good, actually, he takes that, but look, when he's came in, he's almost playing him as a second striker or something now, isn't he? And he scored more goals than any in the games. You know what I mean? He is adaptable. He'd maybe have a better chance of getting as a fucking striker.
Well, you think that is one of the areas where Scotland are lacking, isn't it? Like, we're blessed with strikers. If you could get a sort of number 10, if you like, which is where Campbell's been playing, that pitches in with goals, then I don't know. I think he's miles off it at the moment, and that's no disrespect to Josh Campbell. I think
the level was a really strange article.
The level that they're looking at to get to is a huge jump from where he is at the moment. But like you, John, I mean, that is he's got a lot of years to play football in front of him, and if he keeps developing, and the goal scoring is massive. If you could be a goal scoring midfielder, they're like hen's teeth, as we're talking about with the Derby tickets, and that becomes like a very valuable attribute to have. He'll no doubt get on the radar of other clubs if he's scoring goals at Hibs, and then who knows? Like,
it'd be interesting to find out. And I don't know if we're in a position to do that, but there was some talk earlier in the season when the transfer window was still open that Josh Campbell was the subject of interest and speculation or bids or whatever. That could be something that could add to his credentials as well, because I wonder, so like, I'm thinking back to Josh Doig. I remember, so he had his sort of breakout season during the COVID period, and then afterwards it was a wee bit sort of stop-start for him, and Lewis Stevenson kind of took the reins in the left-back position. But then Doig's gone off to Italy, and now he's kind of like subject to that transfer speculation again. So I wonder if there's an element sometimes of us underrating players. Like, know that Josh Doig's... I think, in fact, actually, was he in one of Steve Clark's Scotland squads recently?
Just now, aye. He was in the last squad.
So there's an opportunity. There's that. You were talking about like achievable milestones, Matty. So that's and sort of yardsticks to follow. Like Josh Doig's a really good example of that recently of what can be achieved if you perform at Hibs and you go into that next level.
So I suppose a comparable player would be Lewis Ferguson, who went out to Italy and He's doing well, but he's no. I think he was in the last Scotland squad. Has he
Yeah, I
played?
think he was. He's had a couple of games. He's a couple in the friendlies and that.
Mhm.
Again, probably Aberdeen's best player when they sold him.
Aye.
So I think I think Campbell needs to be a first team pick, guaranteed pick, then become one of the best players or the best player. Then he'll have a chance.
Aye.
So these are the steps. They're the steps to get to that point. And on the point about late developers, how many others is there? Like Paul Hartley and.
Aye, I mean, there's no, they're not a wash for them, but they do happen.
Of course they do, the exception to the rule.
Aye. All right, next thing we have Aberdeen on Sunday. Interested to get your thoughts on this. £34 for a ticket to the game race. I think the cheapest tickets in the Hibs ends out. So concessions excluded. £34 in the bronze area. For Easter Road on Sunday, £34 for Aberdeen fans coming down. What are your thoughts on that as a price point for a Hibs Aberdeen game?
Oh, I think it's expensive. I think it's far too expensive. But I think that with most ticket prices, I didn't realise that until I read that. I think you pointed out, it's on Twitter, you put it. And then I went and read the thread that you were talking about on Hibs.net, and I just thought, holy fuck, like, that's the cheapest seat. And the shitey bits in the corner. That's fucking outrageous, really, to try and take like a family, a folk, and it's not even a Saturday kick-off, it's like a Sunday, you know what I mean? And I know it doesn't make any difference to the day, because it's the same thing you're going to go and see, but it's like, it's the off-peak time, eh?
I think it does make a difference in the sense that it's on a Sunday. Like for the Saturday game, for instance, or even like a Friday night game. Like if you play the Friday night game, you've got the entire weekend. The entire weekend ahead of you. The Saturday 3:00 kickoff is kind of that traditional kickoff time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm immediately thinking £34. Like if I was up in Aberdeen and having to come down to Edinburgh, I'd be thinking fucking £34 to go to Edinburgh on a Sunday.
For them. That's the cheap seats they didn't get. Was it 35 for them?
No, it's 34 for him. It was reported.
It
was reported at 35 at Hibs today, but I checked.
All right, sorry.
I did some fact checking for a change, and I was like, it's 34. So I pound out with the original tweet.
Still, yeah.
And I suppose like one of the things as well, like as a football fan, so it's almost like we don't. And I don't know I don't know if you can hold one person responsible or if it's multiple people that you would hold responsible for it, but you want to try and, if it's a category game, that kind of suggests that it's the premium fixture or one of the premium fixtures. But so you want as many people to come and enjoy it or kind of make it that spectacle. I don't know if it's going to be on the TV. But you want as many people at the game as possible, but we almost deliberately try and make it as difficult for people as possible, whether it's with regards to the price, the day, the hospitality of the grounds, with regards to like having a pint or with your mates or whatever. It's just it's a bit shit.
It's Hibs we're talking about, but this is Scottish football in general, and I seen a bit of how much did they charge us up there? It doesn't matter. That's what we're charging. It's too dear, right? Let's set the fucking standard. But also, they do try and make it hard. It's like, see, if you decide to go to an away game on the day of the match, you can't get a ticket. You've got Kieran Power standing outside the ground with a handful of tickets because you can't get them online, and that it's fucking nonsense the way we deal with stuff in Scotland for.
It's stupid, and you've got so if you were to put a devil's advocate argument up on it, right? £34. Somebody had done an inflation calculator and said I think it was 2001, they took the ticket price, which was 20 quid, 21 quid, and it should have been up over 40. So if it tracked with inflation, that ticket price today would be £40 Now, Hibs
there's been a massive increase in the last year.
Aye, Hibs are immune to inflation, like all their costs would go up as well.
Do the inflation calculator for like 1980, because it went fucking mad between 80 and 2000. We've just jumped it to 2000 because I remember that before getting done, and it was the prices didn't rise with inflation. Like go back to 1970 when it was 5p to get in that. You know what I mean? It just doesn't tie in.
Right,
so we can't just pick and choose your inflation periods.
So
you know what I mean?
Aye. But I mean, I suppose like 20 years ago, is that like, how far back are you want to go?
Inflation's inflation. Like if we're going to say, let's take it for the well, post-war, like to now, like, or to when it fucking to go to half pences to now, and it would still be, I think it would be exceeding inflation. I think that's just that folk just pick the fucking period that suits best.
So see that point, Colin, that you made there about like, you know, coming in, sort of getting to the football, and it's like 5 pence or however many shillings it happened to be. Why was it that the price was so low at that point, and why is it that it's so high now? Like, from my perspective, I think, well, there was that sort of like traditional working class roots, and it's like we've gone away from that. And we're just saying, well, we're going to make it this event that it very rarely happens to be.
Mm-hmm. Folk are willing to pay it. That's what it comes down to economics, is supply and demand. Folk pay it, and enough folk pay it, so they're happy with that. It probably also adds value to a season ticket, because it isn't your average season ticket. Like if you were to divide it by 18 or 19, depending on how many games we get, because that's a lottery as well. It doesn't come out as £34. You know what I mean? It's like 20 odds. So it makes the season ticket more valuable. And that might be what they want, because I don't think they really want people paying at the gate, like I've already said, with they don't sell tickets at the gate, but they don't want people buying tickets. They want to know who's in the ground so they can, I don't know why, but they don't want people buying tickets.
I think is that not part and parcel of the police? Like, you need to be on the database, but you can't get on the database unless you buy a ticket for a category game.
Two of your mates, they go regularly, but often for games like Rangers, Celtic, Hearts, if they want to go, I end up getting a ticket through my account, because although they've bought tickets, they've not bought enough, or they've not bought a Rangers one or a Celtic one in the last. That used to have season tickets, but that's kind of expired off their account and that, and it's just a hassle to try and get a ticket for one of the big games. They end up buying them for them.
Be interesting to get someone for the police on to discuss why they have the measures that they do with regards to like barriers outside the stadium to divert supporters away, rather than giving preferential treatment to the home supporters. And in instances like that, so like why is it you insist that people have to be on the database to get a ticket if they're not already on it? Why would you not allow walk-ups? Like, how much trouble can that one person cause when you've got an entire stand causing bother?
Some of that could be Hibs, because some main was at pocketing stuff that worked at Hibs and Hearts and all that. They were on the take.
I can't find what ticket prices were in 1980. I thought I would try and... I've got the inflation calculator, but I can't find it.
You see every now and again when somebody posts a photo of a programme and that, you'll see it like, oh no, that'll be the price of the programme, eh?
Aye.
I've seen it on a ticket.
Yeah.
Can folk collect tickets?
Aye, it need to be an old ticket. There's a thought. So maybe we'll get 1972 League Cup ticket. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll find an image of that. I don't know.
Compare it with this year's cup final, because this year's cup final tickets are fucking extortionate.
Aye, unreal.
Now, we've got a guy that listens, Neil, who was banging on, and he's right to bang on. I'm not meaning it derogatory, about the price of his grandson's ticket, because he takes it with the South Stand at Hampden, and so you can only buy an adult ticket. And so I seen for the final they had done the child ticket, the concession ticket. So I said, oh, look at that, that's good for that. But the prices, they increased the prices. So like a kid's ticket in is it the South Stand, the one behind the dugouts at Hampden? It was like it's about 35 quid for a kid's ticket. But an adult's like 45, and you're like, you're fucking joking. Like, how do we arrive at these prices? It's just, but folk pay it and it'll sell out, right? So their justification is well, they daft cunts bought it.
But are the people that pay it the ones that can afford it? And does that alienate a section of the population by saying, well, if you can't afford to go to the game, that's your fact. Like,
of course
you're out.
Right. I found one that's got Scottish Cup final tie, 6th of May 1978. Right. It was.
It's about my age.
Tell you who was in it. But it isn't right. £4. Right. And that was, what did I say, 1978?
May 78.
So let's have a look. So £4. I wonder how far back it goes.
35 quid. Because inflation's fucked it in the last year.
£20.89.
£20.89, there you go. Thank you.
So it's almost 20 the price it could be.
Aye, with debunking the inflation.
Aye, yeah.
point.
Because I knew it's went mad recently, because I was surprised when I saw that for the last 20 years that, oh, that's all right, it should be 40 quid. I was like, really? Because I remember seeing it before, that wasn't it? Not that I pay attention massively to inflation, other than, did you see the Labour advisor on the BBC Politics yesterday saying that
taking advice for you is on economics is like taking
amazing
advice on social care for fucking Harold Shipman.
Absolutely superb.
Aye.
Wow.
Aye. He wasn't happy about that. He tried not to laugh, and then he was like, "Oh fuck it, I'm going to have to try and take the moral high ground here."
Yeah, that was good.
Aye. Right, just before we're kind of out of time, we'll move on for ticket prices. I think it's too expensive. That's my view on it.
Yep.
Aberdeen on Sunday. Aberdeen, did they finish 2-2 tonight? The game was just wrapping up as we started recording. Did they stop for a snowball fight and then it cleared the pitch? And
I didn't realise that interruption that was being talked about was folk chucking snowballs at the keeper and the Aberdeen players, telling the Dandy Dons to calm down.
Aye.
Stop it.
I didn't care if the keeper caught any of them. He was out with short sleeves and that. That's when you try to prove you're hard. Playing in the snow with your t-shirt on. What have you made of Aberdeen so far this season, John, for what you've seen of them?
Do you know, I actually don't think I've seen much of them with the exception of the 2 games that we played against them. So we beat them at Pittodrie, which was as rare as hen's teeth. That seems to be a bit of a theme for tonight.
Yes.
And the kicking the balls defeat in the cup at Hampden, where maybe we could have had a penalty. I know some of our listeners disagreed with me, saying that I didn't think it was. But what I did earlier was have a wee dig through the last couple of seasons, or the last 3 seasons, I think, and sort of like tallied up where we were good and where we were bad. And the good news is we're pretty good at Easter Road in the last 3 years, last 3 seasons. 4 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, and we've scored 12 goals in that time and had 3 against us, which kind of suggests that we're going to be all right come Sunday. I'm just glad that we're not playing at Pittodrie, because we've had the absolute reverse of that.
Aye.
1 draw, 1 win and 4 losses, and conceded 10 and scored 3. So we're at Easter Road. I think everything's going to be all right.
We've been quite unlucky at the games at Pittodrie, though, I think. Even the one where they hammered us, but the 4-0, was it?
4-1.
4-1, I think. Did we score first, have someone sent off, maybe?
They got a penalty.
The penalty at half time.
Aye,
the
penalty there never was. Aye. Colin, what about you? How do you see it panning out?
I think we'll win as well. They've had that game tonight. Now, I don't know if they stuck their first team out. It didn't pay much attention. I've just read something that said that they'd rested a few, but still the travel, the extra game, it never normally works out well for Scottish teams on the Thursday, Sunday thing. Away from home as well. It's not like they're even going home and playing. They've got to get home tomorrow morning and then travel back down on Saturday or whatever. And the season so far been pretty shit. They're bottom. Like I was just looking at the table, they're second bottom, third bottom. Yeah. So if we can win on Sunday, like we're putting 8 points between us. That's quite. It's only 3 wins, but the teams are so inconsistent in the league that's quite a lot to make up, because it's quite hard to string 3 wins together. So I think it's quite important to win. We need to start winning our home games, and we need to start beating the teams around us as well as below us. So I think it's important to win. I think we will win. I think them playing tonight's probably helped.
Push you for a score prediction.
2-0.
And for you, John?
I want to be different. I don't know if we're going to concede. So it was going to be 2-0 or 2-1 Hibs.
We're not very good at no conceding away.
No, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe you, wasn't it?
Aye.
See, I wonder if we would have conceded had Miller not been sent off against Dundee. Like there would have been like a slightly different perspective on that.
I wonder who'll play right back. He'll be suspended, won't he? I've not read that.
I'd imagine it'll be Whittaker.
Aye, Whittaker started against St Mirren, didn't he? So I think he might come in and start this game. And he did all right against St Mirren. Joe, they never had any issues. But I think he played.
I suppose there are options to go 3 at the back, but it's unlikely to start changing that.
I think if Whittaker's been involved in the first team squad as a substitute and starting, he's probably been involved in training, so they'll be doing all their drills based on playing the way that they play. So it's just kind of like if it's less of a problem, it's arguably less of a problem Miller being suspended because Whittaker's should just slot straight in there because he's been involved.
But he showed against St Mirren that he didn't look like he quite had the legs for the 90 minutes either. So
right.
I thought he looked really tired actually, but then he is only 16. You know what I mean? So
Josh Campbell's played the right back before, so stick him in there.
But you could, if he changes formation, you've got wing backs there that Boyle and they could do that, and Whittaker could do that, and you could probably stick Campbell there as well.
I wonder if there would be a temptation to play Boyle almost at right back and have Tavares on the right hand side in front of him. He could have a bold move. I can't see where Boyle being too happy with that setup, but
no, that will not happen. They wouldn't happen. Imagine the hammering he would get if we lost.
You might see Del Ferry going. The Ken folk weren't happy because what was the game he played and he had a bit of a stinker St Mirren at the start of the season.
Yeah. He was there then. Montgomery, was he? So.
I think that would be an option as well. It's a pity we're not kind of blessed with right backs now because the Cadden not being fit.
And Makel's still away.
Aye. Well, I'm going to go for 1-0 Hibs.
I thought you were going to say I'm going to go for a shite. I thought that's what you were just
No.
I'm just going to go for a shite. I'll see you later. See you next week.
That's all we've got time for. The toilet is calling.
Aye. The turtle was heat is out. And none of that. Right, that's us out of time. Thanks very much for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. If you're a week late, go and subscribe. You can
see how wrong we were about Aberdeen.
You can tell us how fucking stupid we are.
Fucking Boiler right back.
Imagine
suggesting that.
What an arsehole. Anyway, right, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.